everybody. Let's do this. Here we go!
Hello Musketeers, welcome to Mondays with Mickey. My name is Mike Knigge and I'm your host. And this week I wanted to take a minute and talk a little bit about Fast Passes. Since we're coming back from a long break here, and I just had the opportunity to book our Fast Passes for our upcoming trip in September, I figured now's a great time to kind of jump back in and talk a little bit about Fast Passes, maybe demystify some of the things that you may or may not be aware of, or hopefully maybe even give you some helpful hints. So when you're booking your Fast Passes, you can make the most out of it. Now, I guess let me start here. For those who don't know what Fast Passes are, most people, if you've ever been to any kind of theme park, be it Disney or be it Six Flags, if you hear a bell ringing, that would be Samuel, my cat. He felt the need, the second I started picking up the camera, that he needed to hang around the camera as close as possible. So if you hear a bell ringing, or you see a large kitty jump on me, that's Sam. If you see a black kitty jump on me, well, that would be Belle. She's close by, but looks like she's paying me no mind and taking a nap. So, back to what I was saying before the little wriggling of the cat down here. If you've ever been to a theme park, or really into anything, you go to a movie or whatnot, you go to an attraction that you want to see, be it a ride to ride, or a movie you want to watch, typically there's a line. Alright, you wait through the line. When you get to the end of the line, you get to ride the attraction or watch the show or whatever it is, and poof, you're done. Disney, many years ago, came up with a system called Fast Pass. Now, initially it was a paper Fast Pass system, which is today called the Legacy system. Very few parks still use it, but the original system was based off paper. But the idea is you would show up to the ride, check in, and say, hey, look, I want to ride this, and they'll say, all right, we'll come back from this time to this time. It's usually an hour time frame, and as long as you arrive between that time, you get right on the ride with little to no wait. In the old days, you would go up to the ride itself, and there'd be a kiosk, and you put your park ticket in, and it'd spit out a time saying, hey, say it's noon or something like that, and say, hey, you come back between 3 and 4, you'll basically go straight on to the ride. Sometimes there might be a little bit of a wait, especially if the ride's really busy and they're backed up, because they do give Fast Pass people priority, but, they might put a couple Fast Pass people on and then put on somebody in the regular line, and then put a couple Fast Passes people on and then somebody in the regular line. So sometimes a little bit of a line does appear for Fast Pass. If it's really, really super busy, you'll get a line in Fast Pass, but it'll still be faster than waiting through the regular line. So in the old days, it was paper Fast Pass. It was the day of, first come, first serve. Once they're gone, they're gone. Today, at Walt Disney World, they have a slightly different system. They have what's called Fast Pass Plus, and this is attached to your Magic Bands. And so if you're staying on, and the My Disney Experience account. Now, similar to Fast Passes in the past, say you had a Fast Pass, you couldn't get another Fast Pass until the first Fast Pass was gone. So you couldn't run through the whole park and put your ticket in and get a Fast Pass for like every single ride in the park, and then you just go to your Fast Passes after you've picked up all your tickets. The way it worked is you get one Fast Pass, and once that's expired and done, you can get your next Fast Pass. So with Fast Pass Plus, they have tweaked that system a little bit. If you're staying on property, 60 days in advance, you can make 3 FastPass selections per day of your trip, starting the first day of your trip. So say the first day of my trip hit 60 days today. Then at 7 a.m. I can get on my Disney Experience account either on my computer or through the app on my phone, and I can start making FastPass selections. And again, I can make 3 FastPasses per day. Now that's period per day, not per park. So if you're doing a park hopper situation, you can't make 3 FastPasses at Animal Kingdom, 3 FastPasses at Magic Kingdom, 3 passes at Hollywood Studios. You can't get away with that. It's 3 per day, period. All right. But here's the cool thing. Once those 3 are done, you can load up the app. If you're at the park, you can load up the app, or you can go to a kiosk, and you can book another FastPass, one more. And once that FastPass runs out, it's just like the old Legacy system. Once that FastPass runs out, you can book another, and then another, and then another. So, for people who are staying on property, like we are, we're going to be staying at All Star Music. 60 days in advance, we had the opportunity to book all of our FastPasses for the entire week. And which, of course, we took advantage of. If you're not staying on property, as long as you have a My Disney Experience app, 30 days out from whatever time you decide you want to go, you can book your fast passes. Okay? So, with us, what we did is, and this is going to be more of a tip of a strategy for you, when we booked our fast passes, we looked at a couple things. One, we looked at what historically we know are the busiest rides at the parks. Okay? We made a list of the rides we absolutely wanted to ride, and then we looked at the busiest of those rides, the ones that have the typically longest waits, and then we prioritized those. And then when we went in to book our fast passes, obviously those are the first ones we were looking for. But another thing we were looking for is to get our fast passes knocked out as early as possible. And I've done that pretty much on almost every day of our trip. There's 2 days where I couldn't get away with it. Slinky Dog at 7:05 in the morning. The earliest fast pass I could get was like 4:55 in the afternoon. So that is the latest fast pass I have. And then the other one was Everest. I could have gotten it right around noon or even slightly earlier, but we also had a dining reservation at Tusker House at Animal Kingdom, and I was not about to conflict with Tusker House. Tusker House must happen. So those are the only 2 days where we have a later fast pass in the day. And the reason I push for the morning is because if we're going to get other fast passes as we're going along, ideally we want those fast passes done early. And, the earlier the better. So, we finish up our 3 by lunch, then we can get another fast pass right after lunch. And then as soon as that's done, get another fast pass right behind that. And try to cut down on how much we're waiting in lines. For those who are taking vacations, and I apologize if you hear my wife in the background, we're in the midst of everything we're doing, we're also planning a wedding. So she had to take a call. It was very important. So if you hear her, pay no mind. For us, we don't take vacations to Disney very often. It's important for us to try to get as much in as possible while we're there. And, if we can get our fast passes knocked out in the morning and then avoid, sitting in really long lines in the afternoon and get more fast passes as the afternoon goes, absolutely we want to try to take advantage of that. We want to experience as much of Disney as possible while we're there. Not go crazy, but, try to make the most of our trip that we can. For those who are living near Walt Disney World, it's a little different for them. They can go whenever, and, if they miss this trip, so what? Come back in a couple weeks, I'll ride it. It's not a big deal. For us, we're talking a few years. So, we wanted to make sure, definitely the big ones we absolutely wanted to ride, we made a point to get on our initial fast passes. And then as the day goes on, we're going to take advantage of more fast passes because the time's going to run up. One of the things that caught us last trip, and it's very tempting to take advantage of, especially if you're newer to booking fast passes, is a lot of times the closing shows at Walt Disney World, be it Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Animal Kingdom that has Rivers of Light, or the Star Wars fireworks, or the Fantasmic shows at Hollywood Studios. A lot of times these attractions, these shows offer fast pass locations, special viewing locations, so you don't have to fight the crowds. And a lot of times people will jump the gun a little bit, and they'll be booking their fast passes. Oh, I gotta have the best spot possible for Happily Ever After, so they'll book that fast pass. Great, they do have a great viewing location for Happily Ever After, but what they've also now done is they've locked out their ability to get any fast passes for the entire day, which is rough. It's a trade-off. They've decided that because they want that fast pass for a special viewing location, they're going to wait in lines the entire day. Because you can't get more fast passes until that last one's done from your initial 3. So it's a juggling game. We did that ourselves. We did that for Wishes last time we went. And don't get me wrong, it was worth it. We still had a great time. We still hit plenty of attractions. I don't regret it because we did enjoy ourselves. But looking back and knowing more now than I knew then, I can go back on the app and look for other fast passes. And if we really want that viewing location, I can look later for a fast pass for the viewing location if that's something I really want. Or I can just try to find myself a good spot like everyone else. Now, another trick with it, particularly with the app, because one thing you gotta understand is people's plans are fluid. They change on a regular basis. They'll miss fast passes, they'll cancel fast passes, they'll change fast passes, depending on whatever their plans are. So if you pull up the app in the park, and you say you finished your first 3 fast passes, you pull up the app and you don't see anything you're really interested in, log out of the app, log back in. It might change. Doesn't change that much that time, not a problem. Log back in, log back out, log out, log back in. Keep doing it until you find something that you want. Because again, the world is fluid, and so is that fast pass system. So as people are changing things, and there are thousands of people in the park, as people are changing their plans and shifting to make things work, so does what's available. So keep that in mind. Another thing with fast passes, say you book a fast pass for a ride, Slinky Dog Dash, for example, and then you go up to the ride and it starts pouring, and they close the ride. Or something breaks down. Mine Train has some kind of mechanical failure and it stops working. And that mechanical failure is going to cross your fast pass time frame. And they know that. Keep an eye on the app, keep an eye on your email that's attached to the said app, because if they close a ride and you have a fast pass for that time frame, they tend to send out either an anytime fast pass where you can go to any ride, with that fast pass and hop on as a fast pass, or sometimes they'll give you options and say, hey, look, this isn't available due to mechanical reasons or whatever, feel free to pick from the following attractions. So it's one of those things, it's not a gamble when you book your fast passes in that regard. If you're worried about weather, or if you're worried about mechanical issues, Disney does a good job of making up for oopses, or making up for issues where you miss out on some of the magic that you're entitled to. So, if you catch a word that maybe something's going down or it's getting ready to pour, keep an eye on your app or your or your email, because you might very well get something magical in the app or the email. Now, this is one of those situations where cell phones are very important, but particularly these smartphones. My wife's smartphone, she can't handle the app for some reason. Don't understand, but it doesn't. My phone does. So you can bet I will have extra battery chargers and things like that, or like the fuel rods that they have that you can replace at the parks, ready to go to keep my phone up and running, because it's going to be an invaluable tool for us while we're touring our parks. The next thing I want to touch on with fast passes is, for those who frequent like Universal and have their system, or SeaWorld have their system, Disney's fast pass system is not a paid system. Okay, it's a little more limited than your ultimate passes that you can get over at Universal, but it is free. Okay, it's available to all park guests, whether you are walking in with you've been booked at a hotel and you're able to book your fast passes 60 days in advance, or whether you're a regular and you have the My Disney Experience app and you book fast passes 30 days out, or whether you're just a regular everyday guest that walks in the day of knowing nothing about Disney, you have access to fast pass. Okay, it is free. It is a free service. If you're walking in off the street, obviously you're not going to be able to book any fast passes in advance, but you will be able to use the kiosks and get fast passes. All right, or if they talk you into setting up your My Disney Experience account, you can get fast passes through your phone. But it is a free service. It is a great way to skip lines. Again, You come back at a later time. The whole idea is they're trying to relieve the wait times at the time you arrived at the ride. Okay? So they're trying to spread it out throughout the day to keep waits down, to keep people happy, and give more people opportunities to ride the attraction. And trying to redistribute some of those bodies to times that are typically slower. So, what's a big deal? You show up at a ride an hour later than you originally planned, and you get to basically walk right on. It's a no-brainer. So that's what I wanted to touch on this week. Like I said, we just booked our fast passes. I think overall we were pretty successful. We got pretty much every major ride we wanted. There's a couple we couldn't because there are tiered systems at some of the parks, like at Hollywood Studios. You're not going to be able to book Slinky Dog Dash, Alien Swirling Saucers, Midway Mania, and Tower of Terror all in the same day. I mean, obviously that's more than 3, but you couldn't get a combination of those 4 as your 3 fast passes simply because they're tiered and you can only have so many at certain levels. So, there is some picking and choosing. It is a little more complicated in some ways, but honestly, like I said, we did pretty well, I think. I think we pretty much got most of the rides we wanted at the times we wanted, and it's because we were planning. I was ready at 7 a.m. and I jumped right on. At 7:01, I was able to jump right in and start working. Now, granted, their system crashed, and I had to have patience because it did take me a full hour, actually about an hour and 15 to around 20 minutes to book all my fast passes because their system kind of crashed when everyone hit it at one time. So try to have patience. If you are going to get up the butt crack of dawn to try to get those best fast passes, understand that you're not the only one logging in to do it. When I called customer support as I was trying to get in fact, they had a 2-hour wait at 7:05 in the morning. So it was definitely a debacle that day. So what I would recommend, especially if you're staying on property, you got those 60 days in advance. The morning of the 60-day mark, make sure you know what day that is, and make sure that you have a solid hour to 2 hours from 7 a.m. say to 9 a.m. Block that out. You got to take off work. Make sure you can go in later. Whatever you got to do. 7 a.m. have your butt on that computer and get in your fast passes. I know that seems like a challenge and it's rough, but the reality is you want to get the best fast passes possible. And I said if you want to maximize your day, you want to get them as early as possible, which means you need to get in there and get those fast passes before anybody else can. Now, if you have a travel agent, a lot of times the travel agents will do a lot of this grunt work for you. Okay? A lot of times they'll book your fast passes for you if you'd like. You just let them know what rides you really want to ride, and they'll basically do what I did. It's not an option for everybody. Like for me personally, I don't use a travel agent anymore. I was a travel agent, so I kind of act as my own travel agent. But if you don't want to put that work in, you don't want to have to get up in the morning, go through a travel agent. Let them know. It doesn't cost you anything extra to use a travel agent. Most travel agencies, especially if they're legitimate ones, they get their commissions. They get paid by Disney directly. So, and it doesn't cost anything extra. It actually comes out of Disney's profit for the travel agent to do this work, to be that middleman. So if you're not going to do it yourself, which I totally understand because it can be frustrating and stressful, and you just want to make this as seamless as possible, go with the travel agent. It makes sense. But if you are going to do it yourself, highly recommend just block out an hour to 2 hours at least in the morning of your 60-day mark and hop on that computer at 7 a.m. and just start booking them. The system is pretty easy. If you're looking at your My Disney Experience account, there's an itinerary thing. And there's actually a little icon that says book your fast passes now. You click on it and it really walks you through. It says what day do you want to book, what park do you want to go to, and then it shows you everything that's available time-wise. And you can choose time frames. If you want morning, afternoon, evening, or whatever, you can change the time frames up. And once you say you book a tier, it'll block you from booking anything else in that tier, but it'll show you show you what else is available. So the system knows what it can and can't do, so you can't oops and fumble in and like, oh, I clicked this, but it won't let me do it. It knows you're not allowed to do it, and it doesn't let you make that mistake. So it only really lets you click on things that are actually available. So that's Fast Passes. I know it probably seems like a lot. How you redeem them? Oh, you know what? I almost forgot this. How do you redeem a Fast Pass? In the old days, it was a paper Fast Pass. You'd walk up with that little ticket and be like, here you go. And they'd take your ticket, and you'd be on the line going up to your Fast Pass. Walt Disney World's a little different. it's attached to your Magic Bands, which I don't have one on, but it uses the arm I usually keep it on. In fact, I have my other ones, but they're currently holding up a Funko Pop in the other room, so I'm not gonna take them down. But I will do a video when my new Magic Bands come in, the 2.0s, so that's coming. But when you walk up, you'll see there are two lines at the entrance to your ride or your attraction, whatever you're getting ready to go do. There'll be the standby line, which is your traditional line that you wait in to go on a ride, and then there'll be the Fast Pass return line. Okay, and you'll see over the standby line, it'll say how many minutes the wait is for standby, and then over the Fast Pass return line, it'll show you what time frame is being accepted right now. 4 to 5, 3 to 5, well, 3 to 4, whatever. It's an hour time frame. Okay. On that note, it's an hour time frame, but not every time, but usually they give you a window of about 10 to 15 minutes. So if you're running behind, usually there's that window. They'll honor your Fast Pass even if you're running over just a little bit. So don't stress that. But you do have an hour window to get back. It can be any time in that hour. Well, hour and 15 technically. And so what you do is you walk up to that Fast Pass return, and there'll be a little podium, and you'll notice it's a very similar podium to the ones that you click with your Magic Band to walk in to get into the park. If you've ever been to Magic Kingdom or any of the Walt Disney World resorts, this will be something familiar to you, particularly if you've been in the last 6 years. If you haven't been in a while, let me quickly run over it. Basically, there's these little pedestals, and you walk up, you tap your Magic Band to the pedestal, it'll change colors, and then you use a finger. Whatever finger you choose is the finger you always have to use. So usually I do this, and then my index finger, right? So tap your band, and when it lights up, you put your finger on this little fingerprint scanner. And basically it says, yeah, the person wearing that band is the person who owns that band, because it reads your fingertip, it reads your fingerprint. And that's why it has to be the same finger every single time. So the system knows it's you. So when you come into the park, that's how you get in. When you go to redeem a Fast Pass, it's very similar. There's a pedestal just like at the entrance to the park. The only difference is it doesn't have the fingerprint pad. So they figure you're already in the park. If you have your Magic Band on, you're that person. They've already checked your identity. They know who you are. So say I have a Fast Pass. I'll walk up, I'll tap my band to the pedestal, and I'll say, yep, he has a Fast Pass, and it'll let me go through. If I'm too early for my Fast Pass, it'll ring red and go, no, it's too early, he can't go. Or if I don't have a Fast Pass, it'll ring up and say, no, you don't have one. Now, occasionally, and I'm not going to tell you that the system is perfect, because it's not. Occasionally, there will be a glitch in the system. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. And in that case, it's a good idea to have a screenshot on your phone of your Fast Passes. Usually, cast members will do their best to make it right and make it work for you. Just don't cheat the system. If you legitimately have an issue, take it to the cast member and they will work with you and get it squared away. But, it doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. So it happened more frequently in the early days of Fast Pass than it does today, if that makes any sense. They've had time to work bugs out. So that's pretty much the gist of Fast Passes. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. I'll be happy to answer them, or send me a private message. Happy to answer anything I can to help you, plan your Disney vacation, make it better. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you liked the video, please subscribe. I really appreciate it. Give me a thumbs up. We're definitely looking to get back in the groove of doing videos, especially when we go on our trip. We're going to be putting out a lot of videos from Walt Disney World because it's going to be a fantastic vacation. I want to share it with you guys. So thank you so much for watching, and I will leave you as I leave you every single week. I hope we never lose sight of one thing. This was all started by a mouse. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.